Hey everyone, happy Friday. It is April 10th, and it's a special day, isn't it, Mr. Bond?
April 10th. It's my wife's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Tammy.
Love you. Sorry I couldn't be there. Gotta work.
With that, happy birthday, Tammy, and we're going to get down to the stats to end our week. So what we got?
We've got, statistically speaking, today we had 9 more positives. Not as many as yesterday. That's good. 7 were outpatient, 2 inpatient. The good news is one of those people was inpatient from yesterday. Test came back today. They've improved a lot, and they got to be discharged. So that's good. The concern is that if you look at all the maps and the statistics, it shows that we're still in the slope of the curve where we've got more coming next week. So hopefully we can bust the curve or smash the curve and not just flatten it, and we'll be better off. But we're prepared for the fact that next week very possibly could be worse than this week. So
it's always going to get worse before it gets better.
Hope for the best.
Yes. And so, Lee, what you got there around your neck? You going skiing?
Oh, sorry. This is my mask. The foundation got us these. Laura Sessom. Thank you, Laura, our foundation. And I see you've got a mask there, too.
Thank you for everyone that donated to our system for our healthcare workers to put these on, and hopefully they're all washable, because once you wash it, it could possibly be not contaminated anymore.
Right. We appreciate everybody that's been donating them. If you're having direct patient contact, you can't use these cloth masks, but the Surgeon General came out and said that everybody should, if you're in public, it's a good idea to wear masks now. They sort of waffled on that.
For supply reasons, I think, at the beginning, and now it's more of just, for the older people who do have to leave their home, it can be beneficial, especially if they are sick or could possibly touch something that got someone sick. But the best thing is to do is just to stay home.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a big fan of the direction because, honestly, I think it gives people a false sense of security. I've talked to several people in our community who they're like, well, I wore a mask, so I'm fine. What they don't realize is that, like just a minute ago, you saw I touched my mask. Well, if I had touched this counter, if Sarah had touched this counter earlier and she was COVID positive, and then I touched it after that, and then I adjust my mask, guess what I just did? I just got COVID. Yeah. And that's how it spreads, and that's a big misconception. People think that you just get it out of the air, and you can. It's very rare. Most people, and our epidemiology seems to prove this out, that people get it when they're in the same household, hugging each other, shaking hands, or sharing surfaces and not washing their hands. So a mask does not make you invincible, and people need to know that. It's not a panacea for this. The best way to get it is to stay home without a mask and don't touch anything, wash your hands, not a mask.
Amen. So that brings us to this weekend's alert, and also our main message of staying at home and self-quarantining and isolation. You know, that is the #1 thing you can do to protect yourselves, especially during these times.
You can. That's the best thing, quarantine or isolation, especially if you think you might have it, or if you do have it. If you do have it, or if you've been tested and you're pending, waiting on a test, you should act like you have it. And in fact, if you come back positive, the state health department hands out these guidelines about isolation. You're supposed to stay at home, and it's actually a legal requirement. Because what happens is you go out in the community or go somewhere, or you have people over and you're not self-isolating, that's how it spreads. Right. So take that very seriously. The quarantine isolation guidelines are strict for a reason. And if you see your friends out not self-isolating, call them out. That's how we're going to get this community back to work. The restraint now will help us recover so much faster from an economic standpoint, not just from the healthcare standpoint.
Exactly, and that's what everyone needs to do right now, so we can get back to having those family gatherings and to be with our loved ones and not having to worry about washing our hands every 5 minutes, for sure. So with that, Easter's coming up, as you know, on Sunday. We follow those guidelines that we put out there, the alert to stay home and to not let anybody in your house that doesn't live there.
Go to her Facebook page.
Yes, go down to the Facebook page, our Facebook page, and scroll down. You'll find links to the website with the PDF with all the activities for you guys to get into while you're staying at home, and also worshiping at home.
Absolutely, and it's a great little thing on alternatives to Easter. Don't set up Easter egg hunts with a bunch of kids. I used to love that probably when I was a little fella, but I think it's the worst thing you can do right now, because people touching the eggs and handing them to each other.
It goes back to the
unless
services.
it's just, if it's just you and your spouse, and and the kids there, maybe so, but don't invite other people over to do Easter egg hunts. And back to Sarah's point, there was a lot of other good guidelines on there about worship online. We are a social culture, and obviously, hopefully, very soon we can get back to going to church. But in the meantime, I think that Jesus would want us to do the right thing right now and to self-isolate. It will save lives. And I was telling Sarah earlier, not to get too religious on you guys, but I grew up Catholic and had this great priest, Father Mike, and he gave these great homilies. And one of them I remember very distinctly was the book of Matthew. I'm not a good memorizer. I think it was chapter 12 or chapter 10, one of those two. And it's the story about where Jesus is out healing people on a Sunday. And, you know, the Pharisees were like, oh, you're breaking the law of Moses. You can't do that. And so they go up to him and they say, hey, Jesus, you know, the law says you can't work on Sunday. You're out there healing people. And what do you think about that? Are you breaking the law? And instead of answering them, Jesus was pretty smart. And he answered them with a question. He said, let me ask you this. If your sheep falls in the well on Sunday, are you going to get it out?
Absolutely, of course.
Absolutely. So they were dumbfounded and they walked off, and he healed the man. And so the moral of that story to me, or where it hits me in the soul, is that, and it doesn't matter, you know, whether you're a Christian or some other religion, I think it's a universal message. The universal message there is do unto others as you would have done unto you. The golden rule. And it's about service. And so my thought, if I was a preacher on Sunday, what I would preach about this year is the fact that don't isolate out of fear. That's not it. It's out of service. Again, no matter what your religion is, treat it like it's, you know, New Year's resolution or something. Spend the next 7 days isolating, or, you know, making sure that your family, you're talking to them on the phone, explaining to them the importance of isolating, and you could save a life through just a little bit of service. That's what you should isolate out of. Service, service, service.
What I get out of that is that, you know, you don't want to unknowingly infect somebody and cause a COVID death. That would possibly weigh more heavy on your heart than
Jesus would not be happy if you cause a COVID death by visiting somebody on Sunday.
Yes, and with that note, I'm going to go wash my hands with my active service today.
All right, amen, sister. All right, you guys.
And burn the mask!
Happy Easter. Hope you guys have a good one.